Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Akainu has a great disdain at the way the world government governs the world, but especially the Gorosei and how they often try to hide really important information and even pass off certain blame on the Navy for the deeds of others. This disdain for the world government is unique with his completely hot temper, and this could make Akainu turn against the world government, making the Navy an organization governed by his own form of personal justice. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the possibility that Akainu turns against the world government, causing the Navy to become an independent organization, allowing Akainu to command the Navy the way he wants by his own version of justice. Before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it keeps motivating us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, Sakazuki, known by his codename Akainu, has shown an absolute loyalty to the world government and is an extreme follower of his doctrine of absolute justice. When Sengoku stepped down as fleet admiral, many in the upper echelons nominated him to be Sengoku's replacement. Now, although he's very loyal to the world government, he doesn't always agree with many of the things that they do, especially when it comes to the Gorosei, following an ideology nearly the same as Sengoku's. As we know, Sengoku was shown to be quite loyal to the world government and never wanted to see anyone question them. However, he started losing trust in them, especially the Gorosei, in regards to the incidents that happened in Impel Down, and after seeing all of the things that they tried to cover up and spin to their advantage. This was proven when he was shown to be so angry at the world government's decision not to award bounties to so many criminals that escaped from level 6 of Impel Down, because the world government wanted to cover up the entire incident. This was also demonstrated by his outburst at their decision to keep silent about the escape, even though any one of these escapees could potentially destroy a country, and this was one of the reasons, if not the main reason, for his resignation from his position in the Navy. Now, as far as it looks like, Akainu is following nearly the same actions as Sengoku, but because he's a much prouder person and doesn't like to show weakness, Akainu will more likely turn against the world government in search of getting the Navy out from underneath the world government's thumb. Even though he's extremely loyal to the world government, he was outraged when he was informed that the report given to the Marine headquarters regarding Doflamingo's resignation from the 7 warlords of the sea was fraudulent, even when he personally discussed this matter with the 5 elders. During the discussion, Akainu vented all of his anger and criticized how much work the Navy had to do just to cover up Doflamingo's actions. And Sakazuki went so far as to insult, tease, and even mock the Gorosei. This truly demonstrates that he really doesn't care about the position they occupy, and even if they are the world's greatest nobles. Akainu actually said everything he wanted to say, being utterly disrespectful to them and demonstrating that he wouldn't stoop to any of their actions. Even after Sakazuki complained to the elders about how Doflamingo's actions would make him look weak and powerless as a fleet admiral, they responded that Sakazuki's reputation didn't matter to them. They also teased him about bringing up his former colleague's recent acts. However, Sakazuki didn't fall for their taunts, as he told them that Kuzan had left the Marines when he became a fleet admiral, and it had nothing to do with the two of them fighting it out. So despite his loyalty to the world government, Sakazuki believes that the world nobles should never interfere in the Marines' activities, just as the Marines should never meddle in the world government's affairs. This demonstrates that Akainu really wants to see a disconnection or of any relationship that the Navy has with the world government, becoming much more independent, and it only follows the orders of the fleet admiral, which in this case would be Akainu himself. Although not canon, Ex-Admiral Zephyr, that was the main antagonist in the One Piece film Z movie, shows a good example of what Akainu could become in the future if he really decided to carry out his plan. During One Piece film Z, we saw that Zephyr created the Neo Marines after leaving the Marine group. This is a splinter organization composed of former Marine officers who had been trained and formerly worked for Zephyr. These members had belonged to the Navy, but because they had a completely different ideology and because they didn't have enough influence or power to change the Navy completely, Zephyr decided to create a new organization to fight against pirates without having to obey the orders given by the world government or any other organization for that matter. The Neo Marines seemed to act along the lines of radical vigilantes, believing that pirates should be eliminated on sight and that simply arresting them is ridiculous. And in this way, a new type of Navy was created that followed a totally different order, ceasing to be controlled by the world government, following just their leaders' orders. Their distaste for pirates is clearly visible, and they would go to any extreme lengths to achieve their ambition, not even caring if they take the lives of innocents, just so their plan to destroy pirates could be successfully completed. This also includes directly opposing the Marines and the world government, such as intercepting a prison ship to take the lives of all the pirate prisoners that had been captured by the Navy. In the film, we also see the Neo Marines are capable of stealing an extremely powerful weapon from the Marines and created a Jolly Roger through that powerful weapon. You see, the Neo Marines' ultimate ambition, called the Grand Reboot, is to end the golden age of piracy, which they plan to achieve using the Dynastone and destroy 3 endpoints to release an underground magma flow that would destroy the new world itself. Despite knowing that this would not only take care of all the pirates, but also all of the innocents that lived in the new world as well, members of the Neo Marines didn't seem to care at all, saying that this would just be a small sacrifice to be made for the ultimate goal of eliminating all the powerful pirates that threaten the balance of the world. Ironically, their actions and symbols are still really reminiscent of the pirates that they hate so much, and despite their intentions to exterminate all pirates, they themselves have been branded as criminals. So effectively, they became what they hunt, but they keep a different name just to keep a certain distance, so they're still not considered pirates. And as far as we can see, Akainu is slowly treading this very same path, becoming someone totally authoritarian and making it impossible for even his allies to express an opinion different from his. The most stark demonstration of this came about during the Marineford arc, where Akainu tried to take the life of Kobe, who was a member of his very organization, but he wanted to take his life because he had a completely different mindset than his. And even though Akainu realized that the Battle of Marineford was over, he still insisted on continuing with it, trying to take the lives of pirates who were already tired and unmotivated to continue the fight. So when Kobe tried to intervene to further stop the battle, because he thought that the loss of life that Akainu wanted really had no point, Akainu considered Kobe's act as a betrayal and tried to take his life because of treason. And had it not been for Shanks, Akainu would have successfully taken Kobe's life, demonstrating that Akainu really doesn't care much about anyone else's opinion. Only his own convictions and goals are the only one to ever be followed, especially at any cost. This shows that Akainu is slowly showing his more extremist behavior, wanting to completely change the world through his version of the law, which apparently only he follows in such a rigid way. This is why we kind of foresee that Akainu is gonna try and think of ways to get the Navy out from underneath the world government's control, allowing him to be able to act without any restriction from any other organization that would be superior to the Navy. If the Navy were to become an independent organization and have no other oversight by the world government, this act by Akainu would cause the world government to lose immense amounts of power around the world that it currently has in its hands. As of right now, the Navy and the SSG are the only things that the world government has to maintain balance with the Yonko. But now that the SSG has become disenfranchised from the world government because Vegapunk has become a wanted scientist, the world government has lost one of its 3 pillars. Add in the fact that the Navy is being ruled by Akainu, this could make the world government really lose all of its credibility and cause the Celestial Dragons to lose their great influence that they have over the world. Because after all, they are only able to exert their influence in the world because of the Navy, mostly because of the admirals who always act when a pirate tries something against a Celestial Dragon. But if Akainu were to take the Marines for himself, protection of the Celestial Dragons and the world government would be out of date, with no one left to defend them from the world. And as for the Navy, it might become complete chaos in Akainu's hands. This would create an extreme possibility of the whole Navy splitting into 2, because not everyone agrees with the rules and laws that Akainu abides by, causing a major internal conflict that would cause a rift among the Marines, because we know there are individuals such as Sword that are looking to try and change the world government's ways of using the Navy and how the Navy is seen throughout the world. But with all that said, my friends, we'd now love to know what you think about it. First off, do you think Akainu really is going to look to break the Navy away from the world government's control? And if he manages to do it, what kind of schism do you foresee happening? Because we know people like Garp and Kobe and others among Sword, and maybe even if they're not just Sword members, truly disagree with the kind of absolute justice that Akainu wants to see. And also, what do you think the world government's going to do? Because right now, they're on their way to Egghead Island to assassinate Vegapunk, his satellites, and anyone else that is looking to help the brave scientist get off the island. So with all of this discord, how do you think the world government would ever be able to maintain control? And also, who else do you think might look to take over Akainu's position? There's been a lot of discussion out in the community that if Akainu was to fall, Aokiji would step up and maybe take his place, because we know he has a much cooler head, not even meaning the ice pun there. But how do you think this would settle out? Because if the world government falls in this greatest of great battles that we're expecting in this final saga, there's gonna have to be somebody to come up and help pick up the pieces. Do you think it's going to be Aokiji, somebody like Kobe, or somebody we haven't even thought of yet? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching the video, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.